Alright everyone, welcome back to another episode of Triad Expeditions, and in this episode we are going to be talking about the EMP, the Extreme Metal Products windshield. We have ordered this windshield also with the center top mounted windshield wiper and washer kit, so we will be installing those items as well. As you can see, we have the front clip of the car off. You can see all my mess there but we've really made some headway on the pile of parts. We've relocated some of them to get them out of the way to make room for this windshield install. As you can see, I need to reorganize my tools there. One of the other things that will be, Ozzy came in to see what we're doing, so there he is, trying to stay warm in this cold. We'll let him in. His little snout has ice all over it. Still cold here in the state of Ohio as usual, and we're preparing for this winter blast of cold air that's coming in here in 2021. So we also will be installing, and this will not be an installation video as usual, we will be installing these EMP Extreme Metal Product mirrors. They're knockaway mirrors or breakaway mirrors that you commonly find. So we'll show those on the car and show you what those look like. Still need to put the vent in, and so I'll basically, this is gonna be sort of a product review of this product. I will tell you up front just so that I don't forget. As you can see here, the edge, I elected not to put the rubber edging on the edge here that the instructions say. I had seen some photos in the product photos where it showed that he did not have that on there, so I like the looks of this better than the rubber, so that's why I decided not to. I think it just is a more cleaner look. These knockouts here allow you to put the bar mounts for the mirrors, so they come there, and then there's knockouts for the holes up here at the top for the windshield washer fluid. So I may end up maybe drilling out that EMP plate up there. I'm not real big fan of different branding and stuff. Some of it looks good on a car, some of it really doesn't. I also blacked out with some flat black touch-up paint the EMP that was going to be in white. I'm not sure, that's not, in my opinion, that's not a good choice on their part as far as the looks of the product. Most people don't really have all that much white on a Can-Am, so yeah, I don't know, take it for what it's worth. EMP, I don't know necessarily if you really want to be putting that in white. I didn't like the looks of them. I knew I could fix that, so that's why I ordered from them anyways. So this product is made in Cleveland, Ohio, which is pretty awesome. And you might be asking, well, why did you take the clip off the front of the car or the front end? The reason why is because it doesn't take long, and with the roof rack, even with us like taking the bolts loose, obviously we weren't going to elevate it that much with this roof rack up there, but we tried to sneak the windshield in underneath and be able to clear the hood, and that was not working out at all. So we needed to take this front end off anyways to put the kind of like the water bottle in and other things. I think they kind of suggest that you can do it without taking the front end off, but it's just going to make it a lot easier, and it doesn't take that long to take the front clip off. It takes about 30 minutes really total time to do it, especially if you've done it before. So anyways, alright, well, I'll definitely be sure to turn the camera on when I show you different things that we install along the way, and any concerns or things that may give you trouble as you progress through the instructions. The instructions are, I'm gonna say that so here's the windshield instructions. They're like one page, and then really, yeah, the windshield washer instructions are like 2 pages. But I'm gonna give them like a fair rating. I mean, I know that things, you can overcomplicate things. There's always that. But once again, I'm still a big fan of the instructions that are formatted to where It gives you a list of the hardware that you're going to use during the current step, the tool that you might want to use, the step that you're actually performing as far as description of the step, and then the photo that associates it for any detail that you may need to know about. So that is absolutely my preferred format for instructions. So yeah, you know, these look okay. It's not a terribly complicated you know, install, famous last words, but we'll see how it goes. All right, let's do a summary of this Extreme Metal Products windshield, glass windshield. And this is a DOT compliant windshield. It even has it stamped in there and etched in there, I should say. So as you can see, we also ordered it with the electric wiper there at the top with the windshield washer. So the complete install has not been done. There, right in this space right here, there will be a windshield washer reservoir and pump unit that will install back there. And the reason why I have not put that in there yet, because it is going to be so much easier to put that in there once I have the front suspension torn off. And also I do want to make sure that I install all of the front suspension, the shock tower brace, and everything else prior to trying to locate this windshield washer reservoir, because it may very well not fit. And obviously the brace and everything else is the priority, not the windshield washer fluid reservoir. I can figure out an alternative space for it. So anyways, so like I'd mentioned earlier, I did delete the rubber trim around the edge there. And like I said, admittedly, I know that you know, I may very well pay the price for that because of the fact that it may rattle. But let's talk about these mirrors. And these are the EMP mirrors, and I had spoke briefly about them before, and I'm going to include this in basically in the review with the windshield, because it's kind of an integral part, because they sell the mirrors and, you know, have the knockouts and everything else so that you can install them, and they're breakaway mirrors. They are nice. I like them. I had debated on the rigid mirrors, but really, you know, with the lights out there, if I smack a tree, they're not cheap, and these aren't cheap either, but they're not nearly as expensive as the rigid lit. I think if you live out west and you're in places where there isn't as many branches and narrow trails, you know, those are a great choice. But around here, and definitely in West Virginia, where we'll be doing the bulk of our riding, it just really doesn't make sense. So now this is going to be probably one of my biggest criticisms, if maybe the second biggest criticism, is I've ended up just taking off this fuel door, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I might end up making basically like a custom cover to cover these slots, and kind of dressing this up a little bit myself with some plastic, you know, and kind of fabbing something in there. Obviously I'm a holster manufacturer, so plastic is kind of my thing as far as being able to fab stuff, so I'm pretty confident I can do that. And the reason being is that these mirrors and the way that they're located totally come in contact with that door, and I just could not get it to where it would operate appropriately without, you know, thinking that I'm going to get to the fuel pump and I'm just going to be fighting this thing. And really, it even, you could tell there was like stress on the door itself, on the slide hinges. It's kind of a bad design really on Can-Am's part. So I'm going to put this on basically both EMP and Can-Am. I mean, I think these mirrors probably could have went like up, especially with the fact that this little, you know, you have this little bump up right here. I think these mirrors could have literally went up maybe about 2 inches, but I don't know, you know, maybe they were thinking in terms of the fact that, you know, when a person is sitting there, they kind of like to be able to see, like, you know, what's off to the side of the car without looking at a mirror. So I'm sure they took some of that consideration, but it's definitely not, either way, it's definitely just not very compatible with the Can-Am side door. And I have ordered a Stanley locking gas cap, and so we'll see if that ends up being compatible, if it ends up being correct. Sometimes people recommend stuff and then it ends up not working out, so that is maybe going to be the case. So here on the inside, let me open up this door so the camera work's going to be a little shaky until I get in here, and I want to show you kind of what it looks like here on the inside in case you don't know. It works really good, and then I like the fact that the switch is mounted up there, so I'm excited to get the washer fluid unit hooked up because it is pretty neat. I need to cut that zip tie, obviously I missed that, but I ran this across there. They have you putting some like white adhesive pieces on there to run your wires. I didn't like that at all. That was just not going to look very good, so I ended up running it across the roll bar and then using like the fast strap there to kind of even more, and then zip tying it down the side. Once you have, you know, basically close this in, it does allow you to kind of run wires and it not be so obnoxious to run wires down the roll bar. And I ended up even like just sneaking them in there and then going into the fuse block. So let me open this up because I want to show you again, you know, what we did as far as the fuse box here, the front fuse box. So it makes it so easy to wire something like this. You know, we basically tapped it in. I grabbed the fuse out of the pre-wired harness that they had and then ran the wire there. That is off to the left there. That is the wire that goes out to the actual windshield washer fluid pump to power that to actually pump fluid up to the washer barb up here, which you can kind of see that. I still have to run the washer fluid line down there, but that's the barb, so I need to do that also. But you know, the good thing is that also I'm going to be able to run, this is where I'm going to run my roof rack lights. The Baja rack lights up here is along this cable here too, so I've kind of changed my mind on that a little bit. And then in fact I'm going to use the 2 rivet holes that previously held the EMP placard with the rivets. I didn't care for that look at all, especially on this machine. Kind of, you know, it just really stuck out. And I know that people are proud of their products, but I just think that the best thing to do when you're providing a product is to don't put anything that is going to basically change the look of somebody's vehicle, and that definitely was going to do that. So I'm going to drill those out bigger, and I have some like gland seals that I'm going to run the cables, the 2 cables that go up to the roof rack, and you'll see that later. So yep, and then I zip tied the wires there to the mirror. I'll probably end up taking that mirror off completely and making like a GoPro mount or something like that in its place. That's kind of what I did with my FJ Cruiser. So because really looking out the back in that mirror, there's really not much that you can see by the time you put the cooler and everything else. So but this worked out really good. You know, like I said, this is kind of the way that I'm going about hooking up accessories, instead of like running everything down the tunnel to that, which is really not the best situation. And that, you know, there's like so many accessory manufacturers that just say, oh, throw it to that, you know, but you know, they didn't even include a relay in this setup. So I'm guessing like it was going to be hot all the time. And I know you would not probably forget your windshield on, your windshield wiper on, and have the battery to be ran down, but you know, for most of these cars that is hot all the time, that center post there, that if you don't have a cutoff switch like I do. So I don't know, you know, it just doesn't makes sense to do that, but just I understand why accessory manufacturers are basically taking the easy route when it comes to that stuff. I would much prefer them basically just include the plugs and then have me run my own wire, but I understand that they're trying to make it kind of DIY. So let's talk about that real quick, and then that's really going to be the last point that I'm going to make with this product. I'm still happy with it. I think it's still, I like the fact that it's made in USA and that it's made in Cleveland here in the state of Ohio and all that, and it seems to be good so far. And obviously, if it ends up being a big pile, I'll end up doing a review to basically say, not to buy it. But the biggest issue that I had with all of it, the mirrors, even the mirrors, and the windshield, was just the lack of sharing of knowledge by the manufacturer. So the instructions were, I kind of had mentioned earlier that I was not impressed with the instructions, but after really kind of having to study everything and then, looking at all the pieces and the bolts, and I kind of think, well, let me make a point here real quick. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there's like a standoff up there. That was kind of like some really piss poor engineering on their part as far as the standoff they made. They could have made like a machined piece of Delrin to make the standoff, because they ended up using like a threaded hexagon standoff, and it wasn't even the appropriate size for the thread for the bolt that they have that you put through there. This bolt right here, the silver bolt, the socket head bolt that you can see right there. It just like snuck its way through there. It wasn't even the right size thread. That would have been, if it would have been the right size thread with some washers, that would have been much better. But it's almost like this was just a part that they came across and figured out that it would work. But it was pretty backyard engineering in my book, and I think it could have been a lot better. Like I said, a Delrin standoff or aluminum standoff that they could have easily ordered off McMaster would have been much better than what they did. So if I was not in such a hurry, I would have actually laughed at this and then just ordered the new part. Obviously it serves its purpose and it does the job, but I am kind of on a time crunch as far as having this project done before we do some of our first trips with it and also some of our first events. So obviously I'm not able to go back and re-engineer everything that I come across, even though I've been doing that quite a bit. So instructions, terrible. Like, just share the knowledge, like put all the details that you know about your product, because if you're not doing that, then obviously don't be surprised when folks have a mixed result with their installations. And don't give us that crap where you're like, well, you should have had a professional install it. Well, no, if we have a professional install it, then we're going to pay double the labor, because they're trying to figure out what the hell that you're basically intending for this installation to be done, because of your crappy ass instructions. So I know I'm getting a little irate about this, but literally almost everything that I've done on this thing had, with few exceptions like the SMB particle separator, those instructions were beautiful. Perfect. But almost everything I've done on this thing has been twice as long of a project, and it's been because of piss poor freaking instructions. Just like, I don't know why they want to hold all the knowledge that they have about their product to themselves, and then nobody's actually using the instructions and giving them to people and then saying, hey, how'd that go? What was the result? What would you do differently? And that's been my motivation really for doing these videos, is just basically letting you guys know that these companies, I like the fact that they're giving us some great products, and this thing would not look like what it does if it wasn't for the fact that people were making products for these things. But just take it to the next level. If this is your full-time job and this is what you're doing, like, put a product out there and make it as good as you can make it, and listen to people when they say that this could be better, or your instructions could be better. So anyways, all right, well, you guys didn't sign on to hear me bitch about it, but you know, I'm sure some of you that can exactly know and feel my pain when it comes to this stuff. So all right, well, we're getting really pretty close to a lot of stuff. We have our light bar to install, and we have basically all of our front suspension to install, and that is going to be a big project. I don't want to take away from that. We have all the reinforcing things. We have our front bumper, we have our winch, so that's definitely going to be a big project. And I did order some chase lights, so I think probably what we're going to be doing next is we're probably going to be showing the chase lights that I ordered, unfortunately, from Kinimoto. And they look like a great product, you know what I mean? They look really solid, and so we're going to be putting them, 2 of them, here on each side of the cooler on our roof rack and wiring them in, and that'll probably be our next video that would come out. So make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified when that video comes out next. But yeah, the rigid, we had considered the rigid, and I'll talk about it more when we do this video, but $250 a piece, $250 a piece is what they cost. And yeah, I just couldn't swing it. $500 and 2 chase lights, just I couldn't justify it, especially when the Kinimoto ones look pretty darn good, if not better. So we'll see. Definitely it's going to be a good video because I've seen people wire them before, and there is some videos out on YouTube about how to wire them, but yeah, definitely not the right way in my opinion. You know, obviously everybody, hey, you do your thing, but yeah, definitely not the right way in my opinion. So we're gonna wire these up the right way, and almost every function except the strobe function on those Kinimoto chase lights will be utilized. And then also, while I was at it, they had like a sale, of course, going on. They always do. So never pay full price, because they literally come across, you know, they have sales all the time. I know you guys have seen me put bungee cords to hold these doors open. One of the things I ordered was for the front and the back doors was the hydraulic actuators to basically keep your doors open. So we'll be installing those too, and I'll probably combine just an overview of what my thoughts are on those actuators and how they work out when I do the chase lights. So all right, everyone, be safe and take care, and we will be doing our next project here soon and moving towards our deadline. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching. Be safe.